Question of the day, or word of the day really, anticipation. What is something in gaming, in life, in nerd culture, whatever you want to talk about, that you have anticipated greatly, right? To the point where you start having dreams about it. I remember when Pokemon Yellow came out. That's right, dating myself a long time back. I was excited. It was like 6th, 7th, 8th grade, something like that. And I could not wait to play this game. That I started dreaming about it, right? This idea of what's this going to be like? It's going to be like Red and Blue, but you get to talk to your... Anyway, have you ever anticipated something in gaming that you've been super excited about? And then when the real product came, what were your thoughts? Was it something you were excited about and you found that it paid off? Or was it something you were like, oh, this is a colossal mistake? Which brings us to what we're going to talk about today. Now, today, though, we're talking about Batman Gotham City Chronicles, but in a way that's not necessarily the same as all the other reviews out there. You've seen a ton of reviews out there. You've probably seen a bunch of how to plays, Board Game Coffee. Those guys did a great set of videos for this. I'm not going to go through how to play the game necessarily. I'll go through some points of it. I'm not going to go through all the finer points, but I'm going to give you a bigger review of the whole process and about the idea of kickstarting a board game from top to bottom, and if that's something you would want to take part in. So let's dive in right now. Gotham City Chronicles, what it is, what it looks like, what it comes with it. You'll see some of the components. I'll show you that, as well as, just a few kind of the figures that I've painted so far and a couple tips for that, as well as let's talk about what we think about kickstarting gaming in general right now. First and foremost, let's talk presentation. Obviously, you've got this wonderful two-part piece of art that goes across. This is David Finch, fantastic Batman artist. Goes all the way across the front of the heroes box and the villains box. If you just did the base backer kit, this is what you would get. You get these two boxes, which is all I've played with at this moment. So it's really awesome to see just the art. It looks great. It shows you everybody pretty much who's going to be in here. There's no one on the front who's not in here, which is kind of a nice tease. But let's take a look at a few things that come in here. I'm not going to show you everything because it's really not a ton of different things, but it's a lot of those things. So let's look at a few things right now. Now, I'm aware that my snap special effect usually makes it a lot neater than this, but there's just so much in this game that I really wanted to show you kind of quickly. First of all, the way the heroes play is they all will get one of these bat computers, these Wayne computers, and they're grooved. So I don't know if you can see this in the camera or not, but they're grooved here. So you take your hero sheet, let's say we're playing as Frank Miller Batman, you drop this in to where now all of your stats line up for your character, for movement, for rerolls, for defense, as well as your melee and your ranged and your thought and your manipulation skills, right? As well as your recess docs here. So everything is character specific. So now this is what this Batman has, the Dark Knight Returns Batman. But if you were to switch it out and put in Long Halloween Catwoman, for instance, notice all those skills, all those traits, all those things are different. So it's nice that you have this and it just slots into these spots and it looks really good. All the presentation's fantastic there. So that's the hero side of things that I want to show you. As far as the villains, you get this great tray here. And the way this works is, let's say you're playing a mission, obviously you would have more tiles down here than this, but you would have like the Joker, Thug, Bane, and Deathstroke here. Also, it's grooved here, so you can pop them up. It's really nice. If you want to activate this one, whatever's in this position, so Bane, it's only going to cost you one energy cube. You would move one from your reserve over to your fatigue and activate Bane. You can do a few things on Bane's turn. Everybody gets the same kind of actions. You can move, you can attack, you can do manipulation or thought actions. They all also have special traits, special art, special defense values, health values, all that sort of stuff. Your heroes or your villains that have more than one hit point, you'll track them on these spaces here. This is where you put everything to note that how many times you can move extra, add extra cubes for your encumbrance total for rerolls and defense. Now it's cool because you have the villain side here, but if you're playing versus mode, you flip these over and they look blue to represent the hero side. So it's nice that they have the color coordinated sides. But that's how the villains play. I just wanted to show you now just a little bit of the actual miniatures. I've got all of my heroes painted, not my generic. Not these guys, as far as like the I don't know what you call those, kind of your squad type people. But I have all the actual heroes painted, so they paint up really nice. They paint up pretty easily. Just a couple quick tips, if you're trying to paint a bunch of these fast, try to find some that have similar colors. Like all the Batmen have similar colors. They all have a very similar gray, so you could do a little highlighting in that to get that nice muscle tone. You can highlight all of those up at the same time fairly easy. Same with the Frank Miller Batman. You can put them on either one of those bases, but they do They do paint rather easily, even though they are very, very detailed. So you can spend as little or as much time as you want. Same with with Oliver Queen here. You can highlight, do some edge highlighting, all that sort of stuff. Just a couple tips to make it cool if you're trying to figure out how to get this stocking look. Get your flesh tone, put a little black into it, and then highlight it up a little lighter to where you get that nice stocking look for Black Canary. Same thing with these capes and the muscles. Do a little edge highlighting on the tops, the very top point of all the abs, all of the things like that to really show off and accentuate those muscles these heroes are known for, right? So that's the heroes. I want to just show you a couple of the villains as well. So basically we have some thugs over here, and I have the Harley Quinn thugs done as well. But you can see I'm almost done with the basic set, give or take the thugs, and then the NPCs next, except the villains. I do have quite a few villains I haven't done yet. I've got the Court of the Owls, which is nice to see them, but you got this Bane, this Joker here, and I've done some of the other villains here, but also the big models. I went ahead and did a couple of these big models first, but just because they're such nice looking pieces. So you've got Clayface here, a lot easier to do than it looks. I mean, a lot of dry brushing in this Clayface, and you can get away with the dusty look of dry brushing because you're dealing with a character made out of clay. A little two-tone blending here, just to really kind of give it some depth and character. Most people would say I probably did this wrong by putting the darker color up top, but the angle is just such that you really could get away with doing the darker up top instead of on bottom. But a little bit of white on the eyes with a yellow wash, and then some gloss coating to make his eyes just really glow. Really cool. That's Clayface for you. I love him. He's one of my favorite characters. Bane, once he's juiced up, I did something that I'm really proud of that a lot of people probably are going to do too, but I went through his veins and found little spots where his veins are popping up and painted them green like the venom, as if the venom is just flowing through his veins, just pumping him up. So that's that one. And then, of course, Killer Croc from Hush. Just nice to see the sculpt here. Have fun with that, man. Have fun with the lizard sculpt, the lizard skin, all that sort of stuff. Getting those nice highlights. You can do it as much as you want or as little as you want. But good piece. Most people are going to think he's what's his name from Spider-Man? Shoot, I can't remember his name. Whatever. But anyway, he's not a Spider-Man villain. He isn't the Lizard. He's not the Lizard from Spider-Man. He is, in fact, Killer Croc from the Hush comic. So that's what I wanted to show you out of the actual set right here. Let's talk about what we think about this whole experience top to bottom right now. So that's it. At the end of the day, you're talking about a year's worth of waiting, hoping that the finished product pays off, because at the end of the day, all you know is what you've been shown in the preview videos. You've seen, hey, here's what's coming. Here's what we're promising we're going to do. You've paid your money up front, and then you're hoping and waiting that it comes out on time. Now, think about how many Kickstarters you've seen that have not come out on time. They've come out way, way late, right? Batman, not one of those. It came out exactly when promised. It said at the very beginning of the campaign it was going to come out in August or April, May, sometime around then. I got mine in April, right on time. Very exciting news for that. So as far as the entire process, let's just back up to the entire process. Communication was great with this Kickstarter. So Monolith did a fantastic job of communicating with us as backers from start to finish. I was an all-in backer. I never felt once like that was taken for granted. I always felt like, not the fact that I was all-in, but I was a backer in general. Never felt taken for granted. Always had regular updates. And when the updates came, they were good, solid, juicy, nice updates about what was going on with the game, right? It wasn't just like, hey, another update coming soon. Here's an update about an update that's coming. That's silly stuff, right? What came was, hey, here's what we got this week. Look at these pieces that got done. Look at the sheets drying. Look at the stuff being all boxed up. Look, it's all here. Look, it's coming to you. And then boom, it hit my doorstep in a giant big box. So top to bottom, from the beginning of this experience, it was a good experience for me to kickstart. They really knew what they were doing when it came to kickstarting. So if you're nervous about kickstarting a game, find out who you're kickstarting from first. Make sure it's not a, no, I promise this is a real Game of Thrones game. Make sure it's a real Kickstarter. Obviously make sure that it's pretty legit. Do some research on it. Don't just back the first thing you see just because it's exciting, right? Find out about the product. Find out about what they've done in the past, right? I did. Conan was obviously one of the ones they've done in the past. A lot of good reactions to that. So I kind of knew I had some groundwork there. They had a lot of good pre-production models of this game to take a look at. But then I'm also a massive Batman fan. So I was blinded a little bit in the sense that I was going to back this. I had to have this game, right? That FOMO was really kicking up high on me. And I try not to get like that. But I backed it, and here we are a year later. What did I think about the game itself? We've already talked about the Kickstarter experience was great. Let's talk about the game itself. Was it worth the years-long wait? Absolutely. I love this game. And I know some of you were thinking he's going to say he loves the game because he always loves games, even though I've done a spate of negative reviews lately. Thank you. I love it. I love the mechanics. I love the theme. It fits and works so well. Now, I will tell you a few things that I do, not that I don't like, but that I wish were slightly different because they're hard to manage until you learn it, to where it takes it away from being more of a board game to being more like a hero clicks game where there's so many rules that you got to kind of know on the fly and kind of, what was that again? And what about this? And what about this? We'll talk about those in a minute. But as far as the game itself, the art and the models, it's a 9 out of 10. It's a 10 out of 10 on that stuff. The models themselves are fantastic. The plastic is great. The sculptures are nice, big, chunky size. They're hard plastic, so it's really durable. None of my pieces came bent. The only problem I had, and I did something stupid, I went to get some of the, and I'll never do it again because you really don't even have to. I went to get some of the release agent off of the models to paint them, and I used too warm of water, and some of my bases warped, so I had to actually put them back and make sure they stood straight back up. So that was irritating, but that was my fault. Nothing came warped, nothing came broken in my copy. All of the boards themselves look great. The fact that you get that Wayne computer for the heroes and then that nice plastic villains tray, those are so good. The quality of those is fantastic. I can't wait to dive into every single aspect of this game because right now I'm basically just talking about the base set. I haven't even really got to my expansions are back there because that was the other thing. What am I going to do with storage? Well, I've got these on top of the shelf and I've got those behind it, and then I've got versus mode down over there. It does kind of keep out of the way so it doesn't look like it's this massive pile of games, because when you got it you saw, oh my gosh, this is humongous. In fact, I don't even know where my Batmobile is right now. That's how big this thing is, right? But enormous, great packaging, great art, great components, everything top to bottom is great. The one thing I've got to knock it on though is the rule book is not very good. What I mean by that is it restates a lot of things. It says the same things over and over in different ways it gets confusing, and it makes it to where it's actually hard to get the basic things. Movement is one of the hardest things to comprehend from the rule book. Some of you are going to look at me like I'm stupid when I say that, but no, some of the movement is one of the hardest things to comprehend from the rule book as far as how many points exactly it costs you to move from one space to another, whether you be jumping, falling, moving from difficult terrain or hindering terrain, right? All of these things are important to know and have a good grasp on when playing a game as big as this. My big gripe is the maps themselves, as far as elevation, it's not listed on the map. Like, I'm not sure. And again, I'm not the designer, so I'm not sure why that is. But if you want to know how much of a jump it is, or a drop, or a climb it is from this place to this place on the map, you've got to flip to the back of the rule book, which is kind of strange. So I just thought that was a weird thing to do. But all in all, those are the only two things I have to knock it for. So from the beginning, top to bottom, beautiful looking game, wonderful components, wonderful experience all the way down. If you can back this when the second edition goes live, or season 2 goes live, do it. It is so worth it. The mechanics just flow smooth. I love the free flowing combat, the free flowing turns. I love the way the villains play versus the heroes. It's just such a good game, and the theming, Batman, makes it all worth it. So that's all I'm going to say for right now for first impressions, first thoughts, and reviews of Batman Gotham City Chronicles from Monolith. I'm Bryan Drake here on the Dice Tower. Make sure to follow me on Twitter, Instagram, at @TheLatestRetro, where you can see me painted up in Ultimate Warrior paint the last couple days because I'm a crazy person and was reviewing a wrestling game. But until next time, I'll see ya.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.